librarians came up to my grandmother and me and told us about an important council meeting discussing the library budget, and that if we were interested, we could go and listen. When we got home that day, I wanted to know more about the library budget. So my grandmother helped me to do some research, and we found out that because the libraries were losing their funding, lots of libraries were going to close. Down. And programs like the summer reading program would disappear. A lot of times, when I'm out there selling my books for the library, people in the community ask me why I decided that I had to do something myself. One, I thought about what it would be like if the libraries didn't exist. It looked like the end of the world to me. Another thing that ran through my mind was, should I just stand there and have someone else pick up the ball? What if nobody did? Then the libraries would definitely close, and I couldn't allow that to happen. I decided that I wanted to help, and the first thing to do was go to that council meeting and make a statement to the city council. I wasn't sure if a kid my age could speak out, but my grandmother encouraged me to go up and ask the county clerk, Mr. Burns. If I had never had the bravery to go and ask, I would not have had the opportunity to make my speech. Don't get me wrong, I was really nervous, but I did it anyway. I noticed that while I was speaking, the city council members were leaning forward and really listening to everything that I said. And I learned that to be a public speaker, you didn't have to be loud or larger than life, or even grown up. You just had to speak from the heart, and it felt great. The Jersey Journal even wanted to get a picture of the sign I had made with my slogan, "Make a splash and please budget the cash." When people saw the article she wrote in the local paper, I got even more support for my cause. I didn't expect to get my picture or story in the paper that day, but I was glad that more people found out about the library budget crisis. It was important that I spoke my mind, but I wasn't finished yet. Another question that people often ask me is, why did I decide to sell books for the library? Well, I thought about what appeals to library supporters. People who like libraries like to read, so why not sell books? Sure, there are probably other things that library patrons like, but I had to be reasonable. I couldn't just go, oh, well, everyone likes Droid phones, so why not sell Droid phones? They're really, after all, if I sold Droid phones, they're really expensive, so the money I got for selling them would go to buying more Droid phones, and no money would go to the libraries. There won't be enough profit to make a difference. This is what I call reasonable thinking, or doing the math. I also decided on books because since my family had recently started a new and used bookstore, I had books to sell. You have to think about practical things like that. If you have enough of one thing to sell and you want to sell it, then you're on the right track. So I asked my mother and grandmother if I could have all the children's books from our store, Tabforum, for Opus Jr., and they said yes. I also went through my own collection of books and picked out a bunch that I would be willing to sell. Now I had the books, but I had nowhere to sell them. So my next step was to get the word out about my plan, to tell as many people as possible so that I could get some help from the community. The more people that I told, the more positive responses I got. Getting positive feedback gave me confidence to keep working hard towards my goal. I got a lot of good advice from adults, and finally, we got an offer